So this is video 2, picking up right where we left off. We're still combining like terms here. Number 3, there are 3 terms. We're going to combine the terms that are alike. Now what does that mean? X's with X's, numbers with numbers, Y's with Y's, apples with apples, etc., etc. But in this case, we have X's, but this is an X squared term. And this right here is not an X squared term. It's just a regular X, okay? But this over here is an X squared term. So we're going to combine the positive 3x squared with the positive 9x squared. Now we are combining, we are adding and subtracting. We are not multiplying. If we were multiplying, yeah, exponents change. But right here we're adding and subtracting. Exponents do not change. So I have 3 plus 9. That's like saying 3 of these guys plus 9 more of these same guys. So $3 plus $9. It's the same thing. $3 plus $9 is a total of $12. But in this case, you're not going to say $12. You're going to say 12 of those x squares. Now, what about the minus 2x? Let's bring that down. And now the next question is, could I combine the 12x squared with the 2x, with the minus 2x? No, you cannot. Why not? Because they're not like terms. We have x squares and we have x's. That would be like saying I have 12 markers and I want to subtract 2 erasers from it. You can't do it. They're different things, okay? Yeah, they both have x's. There's an x here and an x here, but this is an x squared, which is totally different than that regular x. So that's as far as I could go right there on combining like terms. That's my answer for number 3. Move on. Let's do number 4. Number 4 looks too easy. Let's do something fun like number 5. Yes. All right, so let's start by combining the terms that are alike. And even before that, I see the minus minus right here, right next to each other. We're going to have to change that to plus plus before anything. So this is really a positive 5x squared. And since we're looking at this, we might as well combine this x squared term, which is a positive 5x squared term. Let's combine it with this other x squared term, which is 3x squared. And there's even another x squared term in here. Okay, so let me circle that one as well. We have a positive 4x squared term right here. So we got to combine all these like terms, all of these x squares. We could call them apples or whatever you want to call them, but we need to combine them, right? So I have 3 of them here and another 4 here. So $3 plus $4, or 3 apples plus 4 apples, that's 7 apples, plus 5 more apples. 7 plus 5 is 12. So I have a total of 12 apples, but of course we're not talking about apples, we're talking about the x squared terms right there. So we combined all the x squares. Now let's move on and combine the x's. Okay, so I have a negative 2x right here. I have a positive x right here. So how about that? A negative 2x, that's like if I owe somebody $2. Positive x, like if I have $1. So I still owe one of those dollars. So I still owe one of those x's. I could just put minus x, or I could put the 1 right here if I want, but you don't have to put the 1. And last but not least, let's look at those numbers. Okay, so those numbers, we have a minus 4 right here and a negative 6 right here. That plus in front, it doesn't really make a difference. It still means that you owe. So think about this. You owe 4, you owe 6, you're going to owe a total of $10. So minus 10. And that is your answer for that guy right there. So before we move on, I want to state something. Combining like terms is really adding and subtracting, right? And how do we add and subtract? You simply think of money, right? But you got to add and subtract the like terms, okay? And distributive property is really the distribution of multiplication. Okay, so if you're faced with distributive property and combining like terms, where distributive property is multiplying, combining like terms is adding and subtracting, which one do you have to do first according to PEMDAS? You have to multiply first before adding and subtracting. So that's why we have to distribute before adding and subtracting, before combining like terms. So if there's ever a distribution, you have to do the distribution first before combining like terms, okay? So always distribute first before combining like terms. Another thing I want to reinforce, is when you are distributing, when you're multiplying, exponents do change. For example, 2x times x. Does the exponent change? Yes, it does. It becomes 2x squared because the one right here and the one right there, they get added together, giving you a final answer of 2x squared. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah? But when you're adding or subtracting, 2x take away x, let's say that, right there, exponents do not change. You're just combining. You're just adding and subtracting. 2x take away 1x. That's simply 1x as an answer. Exponents don't change. So when do exponents change? When we multiply. And exponents don't change when we add or subtract. Okay, let's go back to the worksheet. So I know some of us are thinking, well, wait a minute. Aren't we supposed to always do parentheses first? Yeah, if you zoom in, there's x minus 4. Could you do x take away 4? No, that's like saying I have an orange and I want to take away $4. That doesn't make sense, right? They're not like terms. So you can't do what's inside, but there is addition that you could do, but there's also multiplication right here. What do you do first, add or multiply? Multiply, which means that we're going to have to distribute. So let me say this, when you distribute, bless you, I encourage you to circle the number with the sign in front. It'll help you. And call that a positive 2 and distribute it. Positive 2 times x, what do we get? Positive 2x. Now I want to put the positive in front of the 2x. And then positive 2 times, I want to call this, instead of minus 4, I want to call it a negative 4. What's positive 2 times negative 4? Negative 8. And I'm going to put a minus representing the negative. So if I distribute that 2, I'll really have a positive 2x minus 8. And what about that 3 that's out in the front? This 3 right here, I'm just going to bring it down. That's right. So I have 3 right in front. So now I have no more parentheses. And now I'm going to combine like terms. Okay, remember, distributive property is multiplication. Combining like terms is adding and subtracting. That's why we distribute first, because you multiply before adding and subtracting. So at the very end, I have a 3 right here. I have a negative 8 over here. Those are both numbers. Those are like terms. I could combine them. Whenever you combine, I recommend that you circle or box in or underline and always include the sign that's in front, because that will tell you whether you have or you owe. So the first one, 3, that means you have $3. Minus 8, you owe somebody $8. You cannot pay them off. You're going to still owe $5. And what about that plus 2x? Let's just bring it down. Plus 2x. Now, we might as well start writing this in the appropriate form. In the future, I'm going to want you to actually write your variable term first and your number that's all by itself without a variable second. So I guess the better looking answer would be positive 2x minus 5. Okay? Just switching it, putting the x term first and the number that's all by itself at the very end. You guys following along on your worksheet? Okay, cool. Let's move on. Number 2. So I have both distributive property and combining like terms. Let me break that down for you. We have plus right here, but we have times right here between the 2 and the parentheses, and we have minus over here. So out of addition, multiplication, or subtraction, what do we do first? Multiplication. So we are going to, there's parentheses. Okay, if you zoom in, could you do anything in there? No, you can't. So that's why we don't do anything inside the parentheses. So we are going to start by distributing this multiplication of positive 2 times 3x. What do I get? 6x. That is positive 6x. I put a plus sign in front. Now, the reason why I put that plus sign, if I didn't put the plus sign, when I bring down the 8, that's going to look like an 86x. That's going to be incorrect. So because I included the plus sign here, positive 2 times positive 3x, that's a positive 6. I need to keep that plus out there. Okay? And let's continue distributing. Positive 2 times, I want to call this a negative 4. That's going to give me a what? A negative 8. But I'm going to write it as minus 8. Remember, a minus and the negative, pretty much the same thing. Last but not least, I'm going to bring down the rest, the minus 5x. So I have distributed the 2. There is no more distribution to do. Now I'm going to combine like terms. So what do I combine? Let's start with the x's. I have a positive 6x that I'm going to combine with a negative 5x. You have $6, you owe $5. How much do you have left? $1. But right here, we're not talking about dollars. We're talking about x's. So I could put 1x, or I could just erase the 1 and just have it as an x, because that still means 1x. And what about the numbers? Let's take a look at those numbers. How about this positive 8 combined with this negative 8? That cancels out, it becomes 0. So the only answer to number 2 is the single variable x, or you could say 1x if you want. Let's move on to a different one. Number 3, it just keeps getting more fun and more fun. 3, let's jump to number 4, okay? Number 4, actually we have parentheses here and parentheses over here. Now, of course, you can't do anything on the inside because 5 plus x, that's different terms. It's like saying $5 plus 1 apple. You can't do it. Or $1 plus 3 apples, right? You can't do that. So you can't do anything on the inside of the parentheses, so we're going to jump to distribution. Let's distribute first. You always distribute first before combining like terms. So I'm going to take this 9 and I'm going to distribute. What's 9 times 5? 45. How about 9 times x? 9x, right? There's an invisible 1. 9 times 1 is 9, and the x comes down. There is a plus sign between it. It's a positive 9x. Let's distribute this minus 6. It's important to include the minus sign. That's why I circle it and I include that minus sign. Let's distribute. Negative 6 times x is negative 6x. Negative 6 times positive 3 is negative 18. So now we have 4 terms. We could combine the x's with the x's and the numbers with the numbers. So I want to combine the positive 9x with the negative 6x. What do we end up with? 3x, right? So we end up with positive 3x. Guys, this is not 3x squared, right? Okay, the only time exponents change is when you're multiplying. Okay, right here we're not multiplying, so we just end up with 3x. We're combining. We're subtracting right there. Final step. What is 45 minus 18? 27? That would be positive 27. So plus 27. And that is your variable expression answer for number 4 right there. Let's try a different one. Which one do you guys want to try?
6.
How about 5 and 6? No 5? Let's do 5. I want to go quick because I'm running out of time. You zoom in to the brackets, and then you zoom in some more. So we're going to start by distributing the 6 first. Do not add 8 plus 6. That's combining like terms. You don't add before multiplying. We multiply before adding. So I'm going to distribute 6. 6 times x, 6x. And then 6 times negative 1, you get negative 6. So you end up with positive 6x minus 6. Let me bring down the rest. So I rewrote everything. Now inside the brackets, I already distributed, but I could combine the terms that are alike. In other words, I want to combine the number 8 with the number minus 6. And let me rewrite what is 8 take away 6? 2. 8 take away 6 is 2. So let me rewrite everything with a 2 instead of the 8 take away 6. So here's my 2, and let me bring down the plus 6x that was in there. There it is. And I still have the outside 7x. Now, on the inside of the brackets, could I actually add 2 plus 6x? Do I get 8x? No, you can't do it. They're different terms. So I'm going to distribute the 7x now. So 7x times 2, that's 14 x's. And then 7x times 6x, that's really 7 times 6, which is 42. And x times x, which is x squared. So the only better answer than that would be to put it in order, highest exponent down to smallest. So 42x squared plus 14x would be the best answer. So I did run out of time. I don't think we're going to have enough time for this one. If I distribute the 6, that's what I get, 30x minus 6. Distribute that negative 3, and we will get negative 3x plus 6. And the negative 7x I'm not going to mess with right now, but I am going to distribute the positive 2. And if I distribute that positive 2, I will get negative 20x minus 4. Now let me bring down the rest. The minus 7x came down, and also the 4 came down. Now we've distributed everything. Now let's just combine like terms. All the x's together with all the x's. So we have 30x, take away 3x, that's 27x. Take away 7x, that's 20x. Minus 20x, that completely disappears, guys. It becomes 0x. Now for the numbers. Negative 6 and positive 6 cancel out. Negative 4 and positive 4 cancel out. Everything cancels out. The final answer is 0.